Terrorist attacks are on the rise in East and West Africa. Militant Islamist groups are targeting government officials, civilians, and Christian churches, killing and maiming hundreds of people. For more perspective on this threat, I recently spoke via Skype in Nairobi with Mustafa Yusuf Ali, the Secretary-General of the African Council of Religious Leaders, Religions for Peace. His group has been involved in finding ways to peacefully manage some of the continent's many conflicts, including in Nigeria, Somalia, Sudan. In Nigeria, Mr. Ali says the militant group Boko Haram has been infiltrated by local politicians and is under powerful influence of dangerous external ideologies.
When it took that kind of ideology, it became very vicious, started attacking Christian communities, particularly in northern parts of Nigeria, and Muslims who were opposed to the objectives of Boko Haram.
Now, after meeting up with the leaders of different groups, be they the Muslim groups and the Christian groups, what do they say would be the best approach to kind of create that, restore the peace that used to be there, and hopefully create harmony amongst the different groups?
When we were in Kaduna and Jos, two states in Nigeria that have suffered a lot at the hands of Boko Haram, most people there, most leaders there agree that the whole issue of corruption, poor governance, marginalization should be addressed. Now, the second issue of extremism is a much more difficult issue for the government there and the people to address. And it's very clear that the whole issue surrounding the extreme groups, particularly the Boko Haram and a few others, the Takfiris, the Muslim leadership there stated clearly that this is their problem, and they urge the Christian leadership to let them address the whole issue of extremism within the Muslim community in Nigeria. But ultimately, what needed to be done was increased dialogue between Muslim and Christian leadership and make sure that that kind of dialogue actually go to the grassroots.
And actually talking about that, the government and government officials in Nigeria had downplayed the strength of Boko Haram. Some officials were saying that that is a small group, a small threat. Do you think the government fully grasps the strength and the danger posed by Boko Haram, or is it simply trying to play politics with the issue?
The government underestimated a group like Boko Haram when it came into being, and as it continued to grow and got a lot of young people into its ranks. A lot of politicians in Nigeria found it convenient to use Boko Haram to settle scores with fellow political opponents. And Boko Haram basically took advantage and infiltrated the security apparatus in Nigeria, including the police and the military. And when Boko Haram increased its attacks on government and civilians in Nigeria, the government was clearly taken by surprise at the strength of Boko Haram and the manner that it had organized itself at a point of infiltrating key security agencies inside the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Now, it sounds really intricate here because once the group has infiltrated, including the security apparatus and some people in the government, and actually President Jonathan said that their politicians who are somehow either sympathizers or part of the Boko Haram. How can you resolve this issue? What are the religious leaders there telling you? The Boko Haram, does it have a clear leadership that is willing to sit down with the other leaders? Do they have control over their foot soldiers, the young men who are blowing things up?
When we were in Kaduna and Plateau states in Nigeria, Vincent, we met with the governors of both states and political leadership of those two states and religious leaders from those two states. And they were, the civil society and religious leaders were unequivocal in what needed to be done first, and that was to stamp corruption and to improve political leadership in not just in those two states, but across Nigeria as a first step of addressing and resolving the issues of insecurity. Now, it was very difficult to tell whether that group had actually stated that they wanted to engage in dialogue because of their shadowy nature. But what the religious leaders did tell us is that a number of people who would be inside Boko Haram or sympathetic to Boko Haram were willing to engage in dialogue with authorities in Nigeria.
Do you see hope in Nigeria? Do you see this threat of Boko Haram being reduced or even eliminated in the next few months?
It will be very difficult for the Nigerian government to eliminate Boko Haram if they are going to only focus on the military approaches. What needs to be done, and this was our conclusion from the fact-finding mission in Nigeria, was the government should initiate dialogue between the Muslims and Christians. The government should engage those people who are sympathetic to Boko Haram. The government should also engage the faith communities and their leaders and the people, particularly in northern Nigeria, to engage in a process that will delegitimize the ideology of Boko Haram, counter the ideology of Boko Haram, so that Boko Haram cannot continue to win the hearts and minds of many Nigerians. Remember that Boko Haram uses the weaknesses of the government and the states in Nigeria, the rampant corruption that is in Nigeria and poor governance. Boko Haram is saying that and telling the people there, look here, we have an alternative to that. And therefore, as a starting point, government needs to stamp out corruption or reduce corruption and then engage in a very serious process of dialogue and a process to begin delegitimizing the ideology of Boko Haram.
Well, that was Mustafa Yusuf Ali, the Secretary-General of the African Council of Religious Leaders, speaking to us on In Focus. Tomorrow we bring you part 2 of my interview with Mr. Yusuf Ali, focusing on the terrorist activities in East Africa.